Hi, this is Chris Wagner. Welcome to Kratos BI. Today we're talking about star schemas and why it's important to understand how they work and operate when you're working in Power BI. Let's get to it. All right, understanding this star schema and how it works, operates, and how it powers everything inside of Power BI is really important for you as you start to mature and do more work inside of this ecosystem. For people who have been working inside of Power BI for a long time, this is old hat. This video, you can watch it, and forward on to the new people who are asking all the questions about tabular models. But this is something that can be really difficult for people to understand and start to grasp, especially if they're new into Power BI and if they're new to star schemas. It can be a real challenge for them. Out here, Microsoft has some great documentation on a very basic overview of the of the star schema. I'll put a link for it down below. That can introduce you to the star schema and understanding how the difference between a fact and a dimension table, how to manage joins, all of that good stuff. This is a great starter. If you want to go into more detail on it, this is your classic Kimball data warehouse. If you talk to any of your data warehouse friends and you just bring up Kimball as to, I'm going to do this according to the Kimball method, you will almost always get a pass. Okay, everyone understands what you're talking about and you're just in like Flint, all right? But this can be confusing to people, especially if you haven't worked your way through all three of those books and a million different examples of it. If you're just getting started, you're just starting to work inside of Power BI, or you're just starting to use data, this is something that is totally foreign for you. And I totally get it. I was in a very similar situation at one point in time. When I started working in data a long time ago, it was all relational, right? So many to many joins were not a big deal. You just join many different keys, you run tests to do cardinality. And that was just kind of the way of it, right? Like having a multi-join key was just naturally part of how you did your work, and spending time in the Netezza, SQL Server, or data or Teradata, that was a very common use pattern. And over the course of the last few weeks, I've had a number of different people reach out to me and ask for more questions about how to start operating and working inside of a tabular model. And I'm gonna run over to a couple of different people here. Dan here, he sent me a message, describing his struggle in transitioning from his basically his background in working with data, because he's an infrastructure manager. He's not a data guy. This is not his full-time job. He needs to do some reporting, but he doesn't want to make a career out of it, right? And totally get it, right? Like, Power BI is super good at providing that type of functionality for someone in Daniel's position, right? But he was really struggling to make that leap into that tabular model, right? And so understanding that this is a growth pattern, and you can start with a big wall of data like you normally do, have one query that produces everything and build a report on that. But you're going to find that report that just doesn't perform as well as it could, right? You're going to see things like when you click on some of your dimensions or you click on some of your filters and slices, it's not as poppy as, and it's not as snappy as you see in other places. And as you start to encounter those situations where you need a little better performance, that's when I say start to take those baby steps towards a tabular model. Just take that one column that's not performing the way you'd like it to, and change that into a dimension that you look up. Join it by an integer. Do a lookup on it. Find something with a real low cardinality, in that it's a dimension that has very few differences, right? Like a sales region, right? You've got 20 sales regions or something like that. Use that as one of your first dimensions, right? that can really help you in taking those steps forward. Now, it can also be really important to understand how a tabular data model works when you're trying to do drilling in on a hierarchy. Kellen, great guy, super sharp guy, but he was starting to work into Power BI, building out these dashboards, building out these reports, and he just sent me a message saying, hey, Chris, I just do not understand how to build out a hierarchy, how to get that to work right. And in talking with him, it was all, we uncovered it's all around, his issue is all around not really having a great star schema that he was working from. So, gonna keep working with Kellen. Kellen, I got you. We'll get you through this. But understanding how that tabular model works can be really important. Okay. Now this is a lot of setup for me to take you down into the next thing. Out on Kratos BI, one of the things that I've made available for people who are getting started with Power BI, the first thing that I made available for you was the Kratos BI data set. This data set is straight up most useful thing. I use it all the time. I use it for trying out new features in Power BI when that comes out. I use it for testing out the work that I'm doing. So the Kratos BI dataset is the AdventureWorks tabular data model. It's really detailed. I've got tons of joins that are built out into here, so you can really understand how complex a tabular model can be. I want people to understand that this is not something you're going to throw together tonight, right? You're not going to come in 8 a.m. Monday morning and all rip-roaring, ready to go, and just like throw together a tabular data model before your 8:30 meeting, right? Like, it's going to be some work that you're going to put into this guy, all right? But that doesn't mean you can't start small. And that's what these tabs that I have down on the bottom, that can help you see the different ways you can start to grow out your tabular model. A tabular model does not have to be this big daunting thing. It can be a fact table with a few dimensions that you spawn off of that, or it can just be a fact table with just two, right? So I've got my fact table here, and I've got my product table, and I've got my date dimension, right? This works really, really well. And for many people, this is what's going to be your first tabular model, right? Your first tabular model is going to look something along these lines. Now, if you've been in it for a while, you might be going, oh, you got many joins on your date. Don't worry. You wouldn't necessarily always do this, but on the date dimension, that's one of those exceptions where having many different joins onto that is really kind of a best practice. The reason being, a date dimension is a special table inside of the tabular model. Probably need to do another video on that because there's a lot that goes into it. But having something along these lines as your very first tabular model is the best way to get started in working with a star schema. Start with your big set of data here, add on a date dimension, mark it as a date table, and then add on a product table and build that out. Now, we did a whole bunch of lead in to just run in and help you understand a little bit of the tabular model. But that's because I want you to understand it's okay for you to not understand how this works. That's fine, right? It's going to be a journey that you're going to take in order to get there. But start on that journey. Start from wherever you're at and figure out how you can start to make that move forward, right? Figure out how you can add in a dimension, a date dimension into your tabular model. All of those things will radically help out the work that you're doing, the Power BI reports that you have. I can't stress it enough how important it is to just start down that journey when you run into problems. Take those baby steps forward and you'll be great. All right. As always, if you like the content that I'm putting out, like, subscribe, even turn on that little alarm so that when new content comes out, you see it right away and you can start to ingest that. For all of my subscribers, thank you guys very much. You guys really are the best. I really do appreciate it. If you like this content and you want me to be able to keep doing this stuff, go out to kratosbi.com. Go buy me a coffee. If you do, I'll send you a thank you letter and toss in a couple of these stickers while supplies last. Right now I've still got some of the classic I Love Power BI stickers, and I've got the cool new hologram I Love Power BI stickers. They're in the midnight blue color. That's really pretty cool. So thank you guys very much. Really appreciate you, all of you. You guys have a good one, and we'll see you next time. Take care.